probably the worst 5 months I have ever known in my entire life, and I have been through some dark tunnels in my life, but this one was the darkest and the longest one. But finally, we are seeing some light through it. Now, if you're new in this room, you're thinking, what the hell is he talking about? So forgive me if you are new. You may not be aware of some of the things that have been happening in the business. We've had everything from logistical nightmares to things just going missing, the business taking 2 steps forward and 100 steps backwards, and it's been consistent and relentless for 5 months. So when people talk about the assets of the business, and they often do, in austere times, people talk about the asset of an organization. They talk to you about the buildings you might own, or the stock you might own, or the things that you own of value, because that's what happens through these times. But I'll tell you now, and I will never, ever, ever see it any differently. Our business only has one asset. We only have one single asset. And in terms of money, that asset is absolutely priceless. And it's proved itself over the last 5 months, and it's proved itself for 95 years. Our only valuable, priceless asset is the network. There is no other asset. The people in our organization are the greatest people that exist in any organization. I'll tell you now, having been through our turbulent months, I'll tell you now, most organizations would not be here today. They would not exist today if it wasn't for the things that this network does, and the way you connect, and the loyalty that you've shown to the brand through all our ups and downs. You have made it survive through those times. Now, don't get me wrong, and I don't want this to sound negative. We weren't about to disappear. We've been around 95 years. You're not just going to disappear overnight. Things like that don't happen. But everything and everyone has tried to make that happen. Everything against us, every possible thing you can imagine that could have gone wrong, did absolutely go wrong. Even things you couldn't have imagined. And I don't believe for 1 second, if it wasn't for the resilience of our people, the resilience of the things that our people stand for, our business stands for, we truly wouldn't be here today. That I can assure you of. You have kept us together. You have kept us going. It is the only asset of our organization. It's our network. Now, I've said that for years and years and years, but this year, that is truer now than it has ever been. There is no other business like Clean Easy. There is no other people like Clean Easy people. And you know that, the people that are in this business know that, and you have got us through all those times. So now, back to reality. What the hell did happen? Now, I think most of you know what's been happening this year. Most of our challenges started back at the end of May. For one reason or another, we went into our new warehouse facility 2 months prematurely. And going into a 100,000 square foot warehouse facility that is empty, and trying to load it with 10,000 pallets of 2,000 individual products, trying to get that in there, then ship it back out, is where your challenge happens. And please don't take this next statement negatively. It is a fact, and I've always said to you that I will share the facts with you as much as I possibly can. Sometimes there's commercially sensitive information, but this I can share with you. In the last 5 months, our company has withstood a revenue loss of £5 million. And that's where you see the challenges begin. So we've carried on through a loss of £1 million every single month. Now, please do not of where our business has been and how you've kept it together through those austere times while everything possibly could have gone wrong was going wrong. And the reason we got to that stage, because we just could not deliver what you wanted. We couldn't deliver it for 2 reasons. One, because our logistics system was an absolute mess. going into a warehouse facility 2 months in advance of where you should be. Everything was a mess. We didn't even have any staff. The first day we went there, which was the 1st of June 2017, we had 12 staff. We needed 100. 100 staff were needed, and we had to employ people just walking past the front door. We dragged people in. We had people working for us, and this no disrespect to the unemployed people that hadn't worked for a decade, and suddenly they were running a warehouse operation because we were desperate. And when you are desperate, you have to do desperate things. We had a warehouse management system that had not been tested, a piece of software that is supposed to perform your warehouse actions. So stuff was coming in, 10,000 pallets coming in, and it would go and lose it. It would lose it, it'd register it. And when you've got 100,000 square foot of space, with racking to the ceiling on 1.8 meter high pallets, to find one product that is lost somewhere is impossible. So that's where your credit started happening. You would order something and suddenly there's a credit because we couldn't find it. We couldn't find our own stock because we had a warehouse management system that had not been tested because we were desperate. We had to get into our warehouse. We had to get out because our previous owners, for one reason or another, and it's not their fault, I'm not going to blame anybody except myself and the situation that we were in. You know, we got kicked out of that organization. We had to start performing immediately. And 2 months in advance, 12 staff when we needed 100, 10,000 pallets, most we don't know where they went, and orders still coming in. And of course, if you're losing that kind of revenue, it means you can't replenish things. You can't pay people. It becomes a massive vicious circle, which is why we are where we are today. So fulfillment is getting better every day, and I hope you're seeing the benefits of that. You know, I can't lie about that. You're the ones who see it. So it is getting better, certainly better than it was, but we've still got a long way to go. But for the first time in October, you know, throughout the summer, the first time I've seen some light at the end of the tunnel. Before it was just driving in the dark, which probably helps my driving, but nevertheless, it's not good for the business. So for the first time, we're seeing some real improvement, and that will keep getting better. Then on to the other subject, and I can't avoid this subject. You know, out of stocks, of course. You see how it came about. It came about because we couldn't invest as much as we wanted to, because the warehouse became a drain. It became a drain of cash. Our money was basically just being flushed away. So it became a challenge to fulfill. Now, we've had some investment. We've been, you know, paying those people that were holding back on delivering to us, because people start worrying. Organizations out there, they don't rely on the network thinking, oh, this company will never, ever, ever go down because of this network. They don't know the network. All they see is our P&Ls, and that's all they see. So, you know, those people that weren't working with us are all working with us again and again. You know, our stock situation will not only improve this week, but the week after, but the week after that, because that investment is being put back in now. We've got that investment. Some went in last week, and there's more going in this week and the week after this. So you'll see that all picking up, which is why I'm telling you there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it is beginning to look like we know where we're going and we're getting back on track. It will take some time. We have taken a right battering over the summer, but as I said, it's the resilience of the network that kept us going. You know, I've worked for many organizations. I remember doing a very short stint for another organization, and they didn't survive because the network weren't there, and the network power and the dynamism wasn't there. So, you know, if there's anything to be grateful for, it's what you have. It is the only asset that we own that has really got us through. Now, don't get me wrong, not for 1 minute, not for 1 day, not for 1 second did I think to myself we weren't going to get through this. I've always believed in this network from the very first day that I started in this business. Not for 1 second, even when everything you can imagine was against us, and so much more that I can't even tell you because it's commercially sensitive, was totally against. Not for 1 second did I believe that we weren't going to get through this. And I'll tell you something, the new leaders that have emerged from this, the people that have been supportive through this, I can't thank those people enough. There's many of them in this room, you know, and not just the new leadership, some of the existing leadership that not only put this kind of confidence in the business to start with, but they've been supportive. So the support that we've seen and the emerging people that are now, I see, are going to become the future leaders, the future people who are going to grow with this organization, are all starting to emerge. And it's amazing what happens to people when you're having desperate times. It's amazing how people react. I read a saying once, and it was something to do with a person's true character is not tested in good times, it's tested in bad times. And that's where you get a true feeling for character. Now, we've had all kinds of characters. All kinds. We've had, oh, you like that? We've had people that have really stepped up to the plate. They've been desperate, but they've still stepped up to the plate, to the table, and they've performed and they've been supportive. We've had people that have just said, okay, well, we're not going to do anything, but we'll wait here and we'll wait for things to get better, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. People act differently in austere and desperate times. And then we've had a different brand of people. Some people that showed their true character. And you know, I'm not a favour of those people. I'm not a fan of people like that. I'm not a fan of fair weather people. Is that an expression we know, fair weather people? Yeah. The people that are there when the sun is shining, but next they're kicking you while you're down. That's not character. We have people like that. I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular, you know, but we've had a little bit of that. Now, I'll put it in a different way. I work in the corporate world. I can be fired at any time, as some of you wish I had been. But I can be fired any time, any day, because I'm in the corporate world. If I was fired tomorrow, in the most disgraceful fashion imaginable, that I turn up and my door is locked and my car's been hijacked, and no matter how disgraceful, I'll tell you now, if you never see me again, I will never, ever, ever, until the day I die, say anything negative about this business. Never. This business has done too much for me, and it's meant too much. It means, it always has done, almost from the first day I ever joined. Never, ever, ever bite the hand that feeds you now or who once fed you. Never, ever. This business has done nothing wrong to me, and I don't care what happens tomorrow in the future. This will always be the greatest crowning glory that I've ever known to ever exist in my life. So, as I said, in desperate times, true character really comes out. I mean, all I can plead with you is, no matter how bad you ever feel, you know, don't publicly state these things in social media. At the end of the day, you do yourselves more harm. And I know it's hard not to sometimes, and I know it's hard to resist, but try and resist as much as you can, because once you've stated something on social media, and as our social media guru there at the back will tell you, Gista, as you'll say, it's there forever. Those statements are there forever. Even if you delete them, they're there forever. And at the end of the day, you'll besmirch your own self, so be very careful. And I think it's very difficult not to sometimes. So some of the things that we have seen, I know they were out of frustration and anger and desperation, but that's no excuse for the people who left and did that. No excuse whatsoever. As I said, the business fed and watered people for 2 decades, and they should never, ever say anything negative. But I can't vouch for other people's characters. You know, what goes around always comes around. So, you know, we keep our heads up high. Don't worry about what they say. They'll only damage themselves, and that is an absolute promise, because that's what happens. So, the future and where we are now. So we've just produced an interim catalogue, and the reason we produced an interim catalogue is because we had to just give you a catalogue that had something in stock, basically. I would love to have given that away completely free, but I had to balance it against the cost that was coming. So you've got that, and that will be almost fully serviced, almost fully. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's in the top 90s. And what I say by that is in the top 90s of availability. So I think it's about 95, 96% to start with, which is very, very good. And that's just to get your customers and yourselves a little bit more confidence back. And then looking forward, yes, it gives me a chance to look at all the catalogues and all the product ranges and everything we have to make sure that we can carry on servicing your customers in the future. We had very big plans for this business, and most of those plans are still there. They've just been delayed a short time, and they will come into fruition, and we will do them. And along the way, yes, I had to make some decisions that weren't always popular, but then sometimes you have to make unpopular decisions. I never thought in all my years that I'd have to postpone a destination, but I did. And again, I'll be honest with you, it's not commercially sensitive. That postponing a destination for 1 year saved £180,000. The perception of doing something like that would have been all wrong had we been in this austere situation and 60 or 70 people posting on Facebook what a brilliant time they're having. So, it may not be the most popular decision, but you have to sometimes make unpopular decisions. So, going forward, yes, there is light at the tunnel. Going forward, yes, your supply chain is going to start getting better. If I don't see another warehouse for the rest of my life, I really won't. I tell you, I would never have imagined that it would be that difficult. But now when I look back and think about what it was and where it all went wrong, it all makes perfect sense that it was always going to be a rough ride. What I never knew, even though I admire the network and always have done, is how resilient our network is and how resilient it has been. And the support that we've had to get through what we're doing. And, for that, like I've always said, I will never willingly ever let the network down. We will never, ever do anything on purpose to hurt anybody, because we are the one and only proper people business. We are the one and only business where your customers ask you if you're okay. And it's an unusual world we live in. It's not even a picture of the real world that we have created such amazing kudos between each other and people out there. Now, often I've been criticized for saying too much in the communication. Again, it's a hard balance to have. Some people say you say too much, you should say less. Some people say you don't say enough. If I spoke to 1,000 people, you get 1,000 different opinions. So it's not that I don't listen to people, it's that everybody has an opinion. And there comes a time where you have to try and take everything into account and make decisions to go forward. So you can't always listen to everybody. And especially some of the obscure things some people come out with, and shocking things others come out with. But nevertheless, so going forward, yes, you'll have a near enough fully serviced catalogue. I think it's this week you can order them and they'll be out very, very shortly. As for the current catalogues that need servicing and fulfilling, we're getting a lot of those products in over the next couple of weeks, and those will be fulfilled. And we'll try and do our best that they don't get wiped out as soon as they come in. So you'll be getting those back. So I guess, it's not been an easy ride, but it's been a very fulfilling one and a very learning one. Not only we learnt more about the business, learnt more about business itself, learnt more about people, but learnt more of how we have such a powerful business to keep going forward. There was never a moment where words like quit ever featured, and they never ever will. I have too much belief in this business. As I said, for me personally, it's done everything you could have ever wanted from any organization, from the people that I've met and the connections that have been made. But in respect of business, it's one of the greatest businesses that I've ever known, where a customer doesn't get their order, but they don't care about that right now. They care about you and are you okay? That's an unknown concept in the commercial world. So I can only thank you for being on side. I don't think we could have done it without people on side. Not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. And I know it's been a frustrating time.
I know it's been a desperate time in many cases, but we are getting through it, and we will get through it. And be rest assured, not one of us, not the 70 staff in the network, not the 100 staff in the warehouse, even the ones that can't speak English who can't work. None of us are ever going to look back. It's always looking forward to try and build on the business that we have and get the business back on track. Because I still believe the times ahead of us are going to be amazing. You know, when the old phoenix arises from the ashes, well, we've risen and burnt about 100 times in the last every time it seems we have come back stronger. And no longer are we taking 3 steps forward and 10 back. It's kind of 2 forward, sometimes 1 back, but still going forward. So I can only just thank the people here. I don't think we could have done it without you. No, I know we couldn't have done it without you. Not a chance in this world. No other organisation could have featured through such a fail in logistics. It just could not have happened. I think it's you that did it, so I think everybody appreciates that. We are the greatest network. Don't believe what anybody tells you. Just look around you and the support there is. You know, don't ever fall for scaremongering or people who want to take confidence away. I promise you we will get there. And it'll probably kill me, but I won't stop until I know. So appreciate everything. We'll see you in January, and as I said, the next few weeks are going to be a step change in what we do. We need it after the 5 months we've just had. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Thank you.